Before we start this video, what I want you to realize is when you're doing this, I want to know the difference between standard form and slope-intercept form. So my first question is this thing in standard form or slope-intercept form? Hopefully you responded that it was in standard form, and you know it's in standard form because the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign. If this thing was in slope-intercept form, you'd only have y by itself, which is what we really want. Most times we want only y by itself. So because this is in standard form, we want to get it into slope-intercept form. Try to get into slope-intercept form. If you got stuck on how to get into slope-intercept form, here's what I'd want to do. Because the x and y are on the same side and we don't want that, we need to move this x. I'm going to move this x by subtracting both sides by -2. And we would see that we'd get 3y is equal to -2x plus 6. The only issue that I have now is I have a number in front of my y. So I'd want to get rid of that by dividing everything by 3. And when I divide everything by 3, I'm going to get y is equal to -2 over 3 x plus 2. And now this thing is in slope-intercept form because the y is by itself. Try the next problem. The next problem, if you got stuck with it, again, our goal is to get the y by itself. So the first thing I would want to do is I would want to subtract the 5x because I don't want it on the same side as y. And I'm going to get 2y is equal to -5x plus 12. And again, the reason we write it like that is you can't subtract 12 and 5x because they're not like things. And generally, I like to put the x in front of the number to kind of keep everything the same. Then I would divide the whole thing by 2, and I would end up getting y is equal to -5 over 2x plus 6. And this would be my final answer. Let's try another one. I'm going to try this one. Again, our goal is to get y by itself. And this one was a little bit trickier than the last one. The big issue with this one is when you subtract 3x, you don't want to just drop 2y. This is actually a -2y. So when I divide by that -2, I'm going to end up getting y equals, well, a negative and a negative makes a positive. And then 18 divided by -2 would give me -9. And that would be my answer. Let's try another one. If you got stuck with this one, the first thing you want to do is try to get the y by itself again. So we're going to subtract 5x. I'm going to end up with -7y is equal to -5x plus 56. When I get to here, I'm going to divide everything through by -7. This is going to give me 5 over 7x minus 8. And again, I just get a regular 5 over 7 because a negative and a negative makes a positive. So this will be my final answer. Try the next problem. My first question for this problem would be, is this thing in standard form or slope-intercept form? Hopefully you said that this thing was in slope-intercept form because the y is all by itself. Now for this problem, I would like to convert it back to standard form. So what I really need is I need the x and y on the same side. Try to see if you can convert it to standard form. If you got stuck converting it to standard form, the first thing you want to do is you go, oh, now I want the x and y on the same side, so I want to move this x over here. I can do that by minusing a third x. So we're going to minus the 1/3 x over, plus y equals 2. And the only other issue is something that we should have noticed in standard form is we never had any fractions. So what you want to do is if you do end up with a fraction, you got to get rid of it. And how you get rid of it is by multiplying everything by that bottom number. That's going to cancel. And I'm going to be left with negative 1x plus 3y equals 6. And that would be my equation in standard form. Let's try another. For this problem, if you had trouble getting it in standard form, the first thing again is you want to have the x and y on the same side. So we're going to subtract negative 2/5 x. I'm then going to have negative 2/5 x plus y is equal to 6. At this stage, I don't want a fraction. So how I get rid of a fraction is by multiplying all the numbers by that denominator. So what I'm going to end up getting is negative 2x plus 5y is equal to 30. And that should be my answer in standard form. Again, we want the x's on the same side, and then to get rid of the fraction, we want to multiply by the denominator. Let's try another one. If you got stuck with this one, this has been a little bit different than the other standard form ones you've seen because this has a negative fraction. So because it has a negative fraction, instead of subtracting it over, we want to add it over. And again, once I add it over, I can't have a fraction. So to get rid of the fraction, I would multiply everything by 3. So I would get my answer to be x. The 3's will cancel, so I have just 1x plus 3y equals 6. Let's do the last problem for this type of thing. Again, if you struggled through this last problem, since this is the last problem that I'm doing on the video, if you need help, please raise your hand and I will come and assist. What we want to do for this thing is we want to add the 2/5 x because we want x and y on the same side because we're trying to make this go to standard form. So I have 2/5 x plus y equals 4. And then what I want to do is I want to get rid of the fraction. So we're going to get rid of the fraction by multiplying everything by 5. And I would get the 5's to cancel, so I'll get 2x plus 5y equals 20. And that would be my final answer. Watch the next video.